So just going through the rest of this. Well, I don't want. But I would recommend this if you're into this. I have a feeling most of you are not, and it's totally understandable. So that they go over the Adams families and the Munsters, right? These kind of macabre TV shows that were very popular. And God, I fucking loved her, man. She's so fucking beautiful. Simp. I'm just saying, she was gorgeous. She was. Caroline Jones. I seen her in other stuff too, and she's beautiful, in them. And she never plays like a namby-pamby role. She usually plays a role that's like the woman that is like, been through stuff and is going through a lot of things. Let's say, Uncle Fester. Oh man, and Lurch, fucking Lurch. No, cousin it, yeah. Anyway, let me stop. And like what is that? Wednesday. Look, she's not Mexican. She's not Mexican. So and funny too, Pugsley. Remember Pugsley, little fat kid back there? Apparently he got in trouble with the law. He was like an angry guy, and he ended up in the military. So that's interesting. So anyway, like I said, lots of pictures. Oh, remember now the Monsters. Remember Al Lewis? Remember him? Red Diaper Baby for sure. And it's very funny. New Yorker. Let's say, oh Hyman, hey Hyman. It's like, wow, where did you get this? How did this guy get into your family? I'm just saying. So, but he was a pisser. He was a pisser. He was funny, super red commie, whatever. But who cares? I mean, who cares? Obviously, who gives a crap? So, I mean, if he had been in the Soviet Union, he would have been one of those dudes woken up in the middle of the night, beaten, made to sign something, and then popped in the back of the head. Just say it. So, anyway. All right, let's go. And just real quick, I always thought the Monsters was interesting. Remember Marilyn, right? I remember. I was like, I don't get it. Like, you have the Monsters, right? They look like Frankenstein, the vampire, the little kid, Uncle Fester. But Marilyn was a part of the family. I said she didn't look like them. She was the black sheep of the family. Right? She was actually this gorgeous blonde, like, playmate looking woman who still, that was her family. And she, she loved them. So I thought that was subversive. Oh, come on. You gotta stop already. Once again, the art, a lot of the art. Oh, the Groovy Ghoulies. I remember the Groovy Ghoulies. So, all right, so we're getting on a thing. Remember the drag racing? The big thing where they get the Rat Fink. A little interesting time here. The model kits of the Dragula, right? That was it that? That's what they called the. Did they have a name for this? It was the Dragula, right? Because you remember the Rob Zombie song, right? Dragula. I remember seeing this in a comic. So, yeah, Monster Coat. So I guess it wasn't technically called Dragula. I guess that was a name later. So, anyway, this has not aged as well. Although this thing I had mentioned, this was the Dick Smith book, Do-It-Yourself Monster Makeup. It was actually published by Famous Monsters. I had a book of this. I friggin' lost it, man. Oh, this is cool. I know you're like, wow, you're a boomer. Anyway, right, the Frankenberry. I remember eating this. Frankenberry and Count Chocula. They came out in 1971. So that's all right. So it came out a little before I was spawned. Of course, the Monster Comics. I had mentioned Warren Publishing, which had done Famous Monsters. Now, just like the other companies, like with the comedy magazines, they had figured, okay, we can do horror stories, but not as comic books. These are not comic books. These are black and white, large magazines. So they got around that, and they mentioned, of course, the Spanish art. Yeah, they all did the same thing. The Spanish artists and the Filipino artists were very talented, but then you get guys like Frazetta. Frazetta's cover is what an artist. All right. What else is left? Dark Shadows. I mean, I remember watching this. I remember actually, as a kid, I was like, I didn't want to watch this when they showed it again. It was kind of creepy. Nah, it's like, obviously, it started as one of those gothic things, and they added the vampire character, Barnabas Collins, and then it really took off, which makes sense. And look at that, like I said, the artwork for the products, the comics, like Gold Key and Dell. Remember, keep making up Gold Key and Dell. They didn't sign on with the Comics Code. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, they go over the Erie, right? Where it's like they took the old comic art and then bloodied it up. And it was like gore. So this is cool. Marx, right? Marx, not the philosopher Marx. Okay, he was a philosopher. Right? Oh, he was not an economist. He was a philosopher. Just saying. The other Marx, the ones that made the plastic toy soldiers, they made monsters. Do I remember seeing these? I think I remember seeing these. I remember as a kid in the late 70s, they had plastic figures like this, but they were large. Maybe they were these of the creature from the Black Lagoon. I remember seeing this one. This famous monster speaks now on the records. Oh, look at it, the Gabriel Delph, one of the Dead End kids. Cool. So like I said, the way enough of this stuff in terms of what it is. We've gone over this ad infinitum, but the format of this, the care put into this, and I might as well bring up the end. I might as well end this, Zachary with all these scream queens. Oh, look at that, Lena Quigley. Oh, Frank Stevens, Tiffany Shepard. Oh, look at this. Oh, epilogue. So now the guy goes, why does this? Oh, remember when they did this? This was cool. I'd rather have stamps of these than like the 3/4 of what they have, because they bring up the obviously it's Cooper, fucking one of he's probably my top 5 musician. Kiss, Rob Zombie. They sort of brought back that. Black Sabbath, of course. They got their name from the Bava film, right? Obviously, and of course, Cooper was a big monster kid. He straight up I remember someone did an interview with him, and they asked horror films that he liked, and he brought up like some deep cuts. I'll say that. So my man is a legit monster kid. I'm trying. Okay, this is why did we designate 1972 as the year the monster craze ended. So, and you see the films coming out now. Blackula. What a fucking... That's still a great movie. Of course, 1972, like the Hammer film with Dracula. Dracula comes to modern day swinging London. But he brings up basically in 72 that this is the end of that era because... the monsters were on the decline, right? Dark Shadows was canceled. Aurora seemed to go to any length. So he brings up like these. Like they had the victim. Oh, she's being tortured and oh, no, sadism. Famous monsters of film, man, seemed like it was rehashing old material or struggling to keep up with the times. Because remember, what happened in 68? Night of the Living Dead happened, right? Amongst other things in terms of films. So, like, the modern horror has begun, okay, where now the monsters, like, essentially, he even brings up in the beginning the monster craze. They weren't talking about the 50s giant monster in movies or the alien movies. He rightly mentions that when you watch those films, you almost like, and he made a good point that I never heard anyone say. Essentially, when you watch those old like giant insect movies or the alien invasion movies of the 50s, you're watching a war movie. He's actually right. But the gothic monster thing started to die off, right? So, now this is funny because 1972 is considered by many horror film fans, right? And I would consider myself one of them. 1972 is considered one of the greatest years of horror films. Between Euro horror, between American horror, which is to say independent horror mostly, even the big budget stuff that came out held up. 1972, you could say, was the biggest year of horror. But to him, I guess the innocence, right, of the monster kid. Now, some of these kids that enjoyed this got blasted apart in Vietnam or psychologically scarred. Okay, you're starting to see what the cost of empire is, and you're gonna pay. Your working class ass is gonna pay that cost. As your cities are now being, this is when the cities now are the slaughter of the cities starting to happen. Okay, places you grew up that were safe were now not so safe. Okay, the war was continuing, being waged on you because you now were no longer needed. Yeah. So you want to talk? You want me to give you a friggin' look at this, a view on this that you're not gonna get in too many videos, Monster Kid videos. So anyway, let's not get all serious. Great book, recommended. So.